the casting of pods. This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLED to get 5% off any order over $100. One use only. Please consider becoming a Patreon. $2 supports the podcast, and it helps a lot.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to the last and final episode of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Don't do that. People will think that you're serious.
April Fools!
You know that... Well, you guys are 2 days early. I'm 1.
I know.
Oh, God. So, the 2 fools underneath me is George and Major Socks. Yeah, that's it. They're both fools.
Can you guys believe we've been doing this for 5 years now?
Quite literally, it's been 5 years. Happy
5
anniversary,
years.
folks.
Yeah.
Hence the final episode joke, because we decided to start this on April Fool's Day, of all days to start something like this. So, yeah.
So it's been 5 years. It's not technically the anniversary until tomorrow, but this is the anniversary episode.
Correct. Been good 5 years, and more to come.
Yep. We'll go into a few of our memories and stuff later, but I think we should talk about some news.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
And we're starting with some stuff to make Socks happy. Look at how much
Yeah,
he's smiling.
I put it on the run sheet as the last. Also, I come in here and it's moved up to the top, but that's okay. Yes, we're talking about Dystopian Wars, folks. And War Cradle has announced 3 new sets to be released next month. So the first one is, we've seen these before. It's the Union Aerial Squadron. So this is just a smaller squadron box that you can get for the Union aerial ships.
Yeah, so this
you're gonna get a couple.
just expands the fleets that you've already got, in theory.
Exactly. Yep. So $35, which isn't bad. For 2 Mass 2 airships, 2 smaller rotors, and then 2 SRS tokens. So we won't dive too much into these because we've seen these already. But for those of you playing Dystopian Wars, look forward to those if you want to expand your fleets.
Do the crews wear Union suits?
Yeah. Nah.
Do you know what a Union suit is?
A suit that was
No.
made by the Union.
No, it's the one-piece long john pajamas with the buttons
Buttons.
trap door.
Got it. Anyways,
Fair enough.
moving on. So we've got the Kadunka Battlefleet
Kadinka?
set.
I would say Kadinka.
Gadunk-a-dunk?
Sure.
Yes. And this is the Commonwealth new flying fleet. That's so the resin piece is a Mass 3 cruiser or battleship, so it's a pretty heavy duty aerial unit there. And you got the 3 different variants there. You've got the one with the 3 heavy turrets. You've got one, the Conestoga, which has an apocalypse cannon, and then you've got the Krasnaya, which has a huge sky drill. So 3 different variants. Krasnaya.
They do look rather terrifying, honestly.
Yeah.
There is something about these 2 sets that I'd never noticed until today, but I'm going to talk about it at the end.
Yeah. So, I mean, look forward to these on the table. I know we've been hearing about these ones, especially the one with the Apocalypse cannon, which is the one with the huge cannon out the front nose. And then you got a couple of Mass 2 cruisers as well that you can build in a variety of ways. We've seen these already. So you just get a couple of these in the Battlefleet set, as long as well some little hovercrafts and some little escort hovercrafts. So,
Fox, let me ask you a question real quick. Looking at some of these sets so far, being a war host, what would you say is the percentage of the game being air units now?
it is I would say it's about 30%.
Interesting.
Fair
Okay. 'Cause I
Um,
remember when I first discovered this game, there's the three aspects of the game: land, sea, and air, and they all seemed very, very separated from each other. And it really looks like they're really trying to blend that air and sea in right now as the main focus of the game. So
yeah,
I was just curious about that.
no, you're absolutely right. And we're actually going to see some land tokens in the next one, actually. So yeah, so my buddy's looking forward to getting this one with as part of his Commonwealth. So it'll be interesting to see this one on the board here. I've already faced the Saransk sky cruisers, the ones with big huge missile pods on the top. I've already faced those. They are pretty nasty. But this Mass 3 heavy sky drill or heavy sky cruiser is going to be interesting. He's already planning on buying this one here pretty soon. But the last fleet we have is the Ergon battle fleet for the Empire set.
Yeah.
And this is just some more Chinese stuff, units. And as you can see there on the main set, you've got 2 land tank tokens.
Yep.
There are rules coming out eventually. We don't know when exactly for these land tokens to be used as part of missions for the game. But then they can be used if you wanted to do a grand campaign, kind of like you can with Drop Fleet and Drop Zone, to then encompass a game of Armored Clash when Armored Clash comes out later this year as well. So
There's a COVID cruiser.
there is a COVID cruiser.
There is.
Yes.
Wuhan.
Yeah.
I haven't got to it
It's
yet.
later on in. Yep.
Image 13 of 22.
Ah, there it is.
Yep. The Wuhan
Yep.
cruiser. So, yeah, this is a bunch of different Chinese cruisers. Some different weapon loadouts.
Of all the aesthetics, like I find the Chinese junk such a aesthetically appealing image. Like, it's just of all the historical ship designs, it is the most unique and recognizable of any of them, in my opinion.
I think
Yeah.
part of the problem there is that most of the rest of the world were essentially copying each other most of the time. Whereas for a very long time, I mean, the Chinese were notoriously first with a lot of it, but they were also notoriously very proud of doing their own thing. So I think that just helped the stylized difference. The thing I like about this fleet, and all of the Empire fleet really, is that it blends a lot of real-world aesthetics from that era of the world into the ship design.
Yeah.
The thing and I'm not quite sure how I didn't notice this until today, because we've definitely looked at fleets where this has been the case. But today's the first day where I've realised that, oh, hang on, there's 2 different sizes of battle fleet sets. Because I first opened up both of these and I was like, why are these fleets so small? Normally they're much bigger. And then I went looking over the other ones and said, oh, there are bigger ones. They're also much more expensive, as they should be.
Yeah.
So I just, for some reason, hadn't noticed.
Yeah, so these ones are just giving you pretty much your new flagship variant that's available, as well as a couple of smaller cruisers and some other support stuff. Whereas the other ones you're talking about will give you a flagship of some sort, and it'll give you 2 frontline type cruisers and 2 support type cruisers to go along with it, the rest of the stuff. And so, yeah, those ones run about $100 or so.
Yeah,
based on your
one
region.
of them's intended to be like your generic starter fleet, where this is where you can start specializing in certain areas.
Correct.
It's kind of like the drop fleet, where it's like you had the normal battle box, and then you had the cruiser box, and then the frigate box.
True.
Yeah.
The issue with those, though, is that they just contain the same things, which, if they do a second edition, I'm kind of hoping that might be something they can address.
Yeah. So, but looking forward to seeing some of these on the table in the local areas here in the next, like I said, end of April is when they're going to get released. So,
yep. Coming up next, we recently looked at some Victrix stuff, and we were looking at some unarmored warriors, and we were like, they
Now we
have
found
a
the
lot of
armored
armor. Well, these ones are actually on pre-order now. These are, yes, your actual armored warriors. And I think it's pretty safe to say that compared to what we were looking at, yeah, these guys are much more armored. Like, you can't even see... You don't even have to paint the eyes on these ones. Like, you could just leave them black. It'll be perfectly fine. Nobody can see them. Unless, of course, you can see them. So
there's a couple of them, but I mean, it's very obvious that, these are the more, what's the word? Taken care of. Trained, because they actually have, like, actual expensive armor.
Yeah. I really like what they're doing here, actually. Like, that chainmail in particular is really, really nice.
Well, it's not just chainmail. If you look at the first image that pops up, second from the left, he's wearing scale armor as well as some chain shirt.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. My point was that I just think the chainmail looks the best. I just think it's really well sculpted, was what I meant. But yeah, the scale mail does look really nice as well.
I absolutely love chainmail because it is so easy to paint.
It's also really iconic for the era too. Like, everything is chainmail in fantasy for a reason. I mean, it was notoriously really easy. Most of the old films did it with wool, which is hilarious. They don't do that so much anymore.
What is it? It's Merlin, the BBC TV series. They had like this really weird cloth that was just, it was cloth, but on camera at the distance, it just looked like a
chainmail.
A fancy chainmail. Yeah,
Yeah.
It is super easy to pull off for sure.
Yeah, I think they've done really well with this. If you keep on going through, like, you can actually see how the sprue's laid out and how the parts all go together. It kind of looks like a kit basher's dream, really. Like, all of this, you can just make whatever you want out of it.
Yeah. And you get
I'm looking at one of them. It's like one torso and 3 different heads, 5 different arms.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Like, you can just kind of do whatever you want. It's quite nice. So, and it's like, it's a decent price, really. It's not that expensive. It's like 36 miniatures for me it's $60. I don't know what it is for you guys.
40, 39.
It's a pretty.
That's
a really good
30,
deal.
That is just over $1 a mini. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, hang on. Look at the top right-hand corner. What currency does it say you're paying?
United States dollar.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh, you can scroll down. Never mind. Because I was like, I only had down to the Czech Republic. And I'm like, well, there's no US dollar. That's weird.
That's because it's selected.
Yep. No, it's automatic, obviously. Because I didn't have to select anything. All right, yes. Moving on.
Yeah, these look nice.
We also have...
Gangs of Rome.
Yeah. So this is a game that has been around for a little bit. So there was a successful Kickstarter earlier in the year. It did have some... it did get some fanfare. We didn't really cover it that much because it kind of came out at a really busy point. But this is actually on release. This is going to be released as part of Salute, is when the game comes out. So this is where we'll start seeing reviews and everything. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. Very, very different kind of look on the... It kind of makes me think of Conquest. Like, you have the individual bases, but then you have a group base where they're all in as well.
Sure.
But these are round, so it's better.
Here's what I'm digging, right? So you have the mobs, right?
Yeah.
Those are $11, right? And then you get down to the individual characters. Those are $5 to $6 each. Like, that's
it's very affordable.
That's what mini prices should be, is, that price point right there. And I understand, like, certain aspects of things, like, cost of making, and, the fact, you need this, so it's $35. Excuse me.
Hover over the Gangs of Rome tab, and let's go to Rome scenery real quick.
Gangs of Rome... Scenery. Oh,
they have a full-on amphitheater.
There's only one of them. You better buy it now.
Yeah, buy it now, Socks.
Do you remember that gladiatorial game that we thought was really cool?
Yes.
I want it.
Well, keep scrolling down. They've got Roman fighting ships. They've got chariots. They've got columns. they've got a lot of cool scenery here.
Even just the fountain set is glorious.
Yeah.
This is all Sarissa Precision.
Yep.
No wonder it looks good.
We don't have to go back and look at it, but it was you probably briefly had it on the screen. The dice were in Roman numerals too. Like
Yeah, I saw that.
that's a nice little touch. You didn't notice that?
Ah, they are too. I saw the wound dice, but I didn't see the other ones.
So I rolled
that
a
is
5.
actually cool. That is cool. There's a really nice range straight out of the gate too. Obviously, in theory, this is the sort of thing that would be really easy to expand on. Because it's Rome. There's so much of it.
Well, and it took over most of Europe. I mean, you could get at some point they could introduce the Gauls.
Yeah.
What I want is a base full of women wearing fake beards. That's what I want. To the point where I will buy fake beards. Just let me put that on the table. Why do you two have blank looks on your face when you know that when I'm referring to Monty Python?
No, I agree. I was just looking at the dimensions of this arena. It's
quite sizable.
amphitheater. It is quite sizable.
So
internal arena, 300 millimeters, 30 centimeters.
So the bases for the miniatures, because it doesn't say what scale they are. It appears to be 28 mil scale. The bases are 25 mil that the individuals are on, and then the actual mobs on an 80 mil. So those are definitely 28 mil scale minis.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to look at the attention to detail this game has?
Sure. Where am I going?
Look for the Fierce Mastiff.
On the main page?
Mastiff.
Yep. If you go Gangs of Rome.
Just scrolling down.
Yep.
Geese.
Yeah, I saw the geese earlier.
Oh.
The
Fierce Mastiff.
Yeah.
That is...
Look at the left-hand picture.
Oh, yeah, no, I'd say, yeah. I like two things.
He's a boy.
I like the fact that they've actually had the tail docked, because it would have been. And I love the fact that the Fierce Mastiff looks like arguably the least dangerous thing on the table. It's not scary at all. It's just a doggo. He's such a good boy.
What really looks scary are those geese.
He's an intact doggo, though. Like, that's attention to detail right there.
He will attack you with cuddles and licks. That's what he will do.
The geese won't.
No, the geese will kill you. The geese are evil.
Have you met many mastiffs?
Yes. Well, I've real mastiffs, not mini ones, but yes. My point was that dogs are often labelled as fierce and dangerous when they're not.
So here's my complaint about the geese. One of those is Canadian.
Actually, you're not wrong there, because in theory they would have all been white geese. Oh, hang on. No, I'm thinking swans. No, you'd have different coloured geese. But it does look like it's been painted to be one of the Canadian
It looks
ones.
like very much like a Canadian geese.
Yeah. I mean, that might be deliberate. I don't know. I really like this. The only thing I would say is that I would kind of want to... I would want to model them so that they are actually facing outward on the base. Not to... Because they look like they're arguing with each other. I'd want them to be modelled so that they were threatening the people in every other direction. Just as me. I really like what they're doing here. I think this could be... I don't know how the game plays, but like just modelling-wise, you could have a lot of fun with this. Hopefully the game is good. We should be seeing reviews and stuff for the final rules in the coming weeks, because this is releasing in less than a month's time. So, I think this is going to be worth looking at. I'm not really a huge historical person, but I think there's something about this that could be good. Let's move on and talk about a small company called Games Workshop. So, we just had Adepticon, a Games Workshop. They have a small game that you've probably never heard of called Warhammer. Only like the really cool kids play Warhammer. All right.
Definitely not me.
So, there's been a few huge things that came out of Adepticon. The one thing that was the big surprise, which everybody knew was coming, was 4th edition for Age of Sigmar. It was pretty well clear that this was coming. There was nothing left for 3rd edition, so that's coming. The thing that got me very excited, I assume, is probably pretty obvious. We had Skaven in the trailer, which means we're getting new Skaven. How dare you? The Great Horned Rat will shame you forever. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. Apparently, they're shaking the game up quite heavily. Whether that is actually the case or not will be something to see in time. They are doing like leaks and so forth of the rules and that.
So real quick, I'm going to say one thing, which absolutely ticks me off, right? So with this, there's 2 special miniatures. And if you place an order on a day, you get one of these added to your card, I think, or something like that. I don't remember the specifics because the next part really ticked me off. There's one where you have to buy a specific amount of money, like over $100, in order to get the mini. And it's the mage for Stormcast Turtles, which I wouldn't mind having since I have a Stormcast Turtle army. But I'm not going to drop $100 to get one mini.
No, you should be able to just buy it.
Yeah, that's
It's Games Workshop. It's like this. Yeah, but the problem, they have an 80% market share, and the problem is that people just allow them to do this all the time.
Yeah.
They have no incentive to change their business practices because they work all the time. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were looking at spending that sort of money anyway, which I would probably argue most of their fans are, then it's not going to annoy them because they're already going to spend that money.
Unless you're buying just a couple pots of paint or something like that, you can't do anything with Games Workshop anymore these days without spending $100.
Unfortunately, that is the case. Yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I mean, not everything has to a 4th edition is something that's probably needed at this point. I'm obviously very excited for the Skaven. The trailer, I don't know if you've seen it, George. I know Socks won't have seen it.
Have
you
not
watched the
seen
trailer?
It.
So basically, what the trailer shows is this one character coming back to basically going into the world to fight, being killed, coming back, being killed, coming back, being killed, and basically what we start to see, which is the big shift in story for Age of Sigmar, is that all of the Sigmarites, when they come back, they start losing pieces of their soul slowly but surely every time they do, to the point where in the end they end up becoming essentially like empty husks. So it's kind of like an even darker take on what it already was. It's kind of been hinted in the lore for a while, but it's now kind of officially really there for you to show. I kind of have a feeling that the story's about to show.
Hey, it's Nagash.
Gotta love Nagash. I mean, you have to. It's the lore.
No, you don't.
I love the mini. I don't care what anybody says. I think that mini's gorgeous.
No, the Nagash mini, absolutely is stunning.
Where is the Nagash mini? I didn't see it.
Well, Nagash was in the video. I'm watching the video right now.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
So, look, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I know this is not something that really grabs Socks because, although Age of Sigmar grabs him more than 40k, but...
So, I'm actually really digging this, watching this, because there's been so many questions like, what is a Stormcast Eternal?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at, there's the Lord Relictor, which there's the hoopla a few months ago of, that character was finally released for individual sale after it was only available in a box set. He had a skull head. Pretty much all the other run-of-the-mill Stormcasts are all just the metal body with metal head. And only a handful of, the big, general boss-type guys, are actually have heads or, and have... human features.
Yeah. And I know
which,
there was
just
there was a large part of the fandom at one point that was like, no, I don't want to. Like they just always wanted to have the helmets on because they never wanted to see the human features of it. I was never. I mean, I don't have a Stormcast Eternal Armor anyway, but I was never one of those people. I kind of liked having like both of it because I don't know, it kind of.
Well, I'm on the one aspect of it, like, my hero or general, like, yeah, sure, whatever, make them look special or different, but like all the troops, like the troops are the troops for a reason.
Yep. No,
It's
definitely,
like,
100%.
If you were to take Socks and stack him up with 10 other majors, the only difference would be like their face and their height.
Yeah. Hopefully their personality as well.
We can only hope.
I'm pretty. Is it mages that have them surgically removed, or is that the next rank?
It's the next one.
Ah, right. So yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Look, there are more teasers out there than just this. Like, they have been slowly drip feeding more information, but I kind of felt this was the important part of it. There is another article that talks about what happens with your codexes and stuff. I would kind of take most of it with a grain of salt at this stage. Just wait to see what happens. I'm definitely keen to see what happens with the Skaven, but it could just be another box of all the same stuff. We'll see. Moving
Gross
on.
court chaos worshipper.
We also have a really cool looking mini, honestly. I think this thing's gorgeous. The Spear of the Everchosen. It's got a dumb name, but it's just gorgeous. I just love the look of this thing. This is a new character that's been revealed as part of the lore. It's like the right-hand man of whoever the person that's in charge of the chaos is. Archaon? Is it Archaon? Whatever his name is.
Oh. Now you got me wondering.
I just think this thing looks gorgeous. I love the half dragon looking thing. I'm sure it probably says here what it's called. It's a Gyran. Okay, that doesn't really tell me anything. I just think this thing looks gorgeous. I mean, you have spikes there that will eventually break off. Like, they're not fragile looking things, but you will lose them after a while. But I even then, I don't really... Even if you were to remove those spikes, this thing still looks like it's chaos. And, like, if you wanted to have more than one of them, which you probably can't, because this is a named character, but that'd be an easy way to kind of customize it, is just remove the spikes and file them down. And I still think it looks hellishly evil without them.
Going off of that, like, his name, like, it's very fitting in chaos as far as like how warlords are named.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look for that dude. I know who you're talking about, and it's driving me nuts.
I want to say it's Archaon, but I may be wrong.
I think you're right. I know. Let me search this way.
Why don't you know, Socks? You never know any of these things. You should try harder.
I'm sorry. It does say Archaon in there.
Yeah, Archaon.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Archaon the Everchosen.
Thank you. I was right.
It says Abraxia, Spear of the Everchosen.
No, Abraxia is the name of the character. This character is Archaon's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Is where all of that conversation came from.
See, I did know something.
I'm just gonna point this out. When the character was released, when Gotrek the mini was released, the little tiny one, they had him go toe to toe with all these monstrous characters, and he took out Acheron the Everchosen, no problem, because Gotrek.
Is there anything it can't kill? No.
Felix, himself. He can't kill himself.
No. Doesn't he want to die in battle at some point?
He's a troll slayer, so he's dishonored himself, so he's taking the oath of a slayer, so he must find his doom in combat.
Yeah.
So he has to die fighting. Yeah. So the literally only thing he can't kill is himself.
Yeah. And then finally from Games Workshop, we have a Warcry box which is basically undead versus what's the other half of
Sylvaneth.
this? Sylvaneth, that's right. But these are like an evil, twisted Sylvaneth. Like there's this disease that's kind of taking over the world type thing, and they're kind of being infected by it. That's why they all have these like haunting images and stuff on them.
No, those are normal troops for Sylvaneth. I have those.
Yeah, but they're not the same as the ones that you've got. They actually talk about it in the video, which you might want to watch after this if you're interested. But basically, yeah, these are being corrupted by something, and they're trying to like resist the corruption type thing. And then we also have the undead models. These are, I forget what they're called. It's the ones where it's the Marmite of the
Ooh, those hound
Age of
ones
Sigmar.
look sweet.
I actually do like the hounds. I agree with you on that. I like the bats too,
Meh.
but I think the good boys are the highlight of that box.
No, those are very bad boys. There's nothing good about them.
They are the best of boys. Just ask them; they will tell you. And if you disagree with them, they will kill you to prove that they're
your
good.
flesh apart.
The walking monstrosity is gorgeous as well. So this is
So-
Yep.
I have this complaint about the undead, and it is just the paint job because you can paint it differently and it will look completely different. But everything is skull colored, including these obviously armor plates that are bone colored and look like they're supposed to be part of the skeleton when it's obviously an armor plating.
Yeah. That's been a problem with this particular line for a long while. Because it's supposed to be like these things are created from multiple undead to kind of fit their purpose and type. It's weird. This is one of those factions that's very much Marmite. Like people either love them or they don't.
And also, that's not some walking monster. That's just a normal, tree bridge thing. There's nothing abnormal about it. It's not a mimic or anything.
So this is, hang on, they call it. It's a ravening gnarl oak. These things are supposed to be like free walking and stuff, and just
Is it related to the Whomping Willow?
Sure, maybe it might be where they got part of the inspiration from. So these things have been kind of trained to stay in the city and basically stay and eat the enemies rather than just wander through the village and wander through the forest and eat the heroes of the town. And so they basically just sacrifice bad guys to it to keep it there and be happy. But apparently doing this to them over time kind of sends them mad and stuff. So they end up just going nuts. Is kind of I've very much shortened that, but that's the general idea. No idea what this box set's going to cost. I just think it looks
$80.
nice.
Oh wait, no, it's a box, so 120.
Possibly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think it looks nice, honestly. I just think the minis look nice. I definitely prefer the Sylvaneth over the undead, but that's just because I'm kind of I don't hate
Over undead?
the undead stuff. Well, I like undead. I just don't like this undead. It just doesn't do anything for me personally.
So there's the line of that's part of the undead line, but it's like
That's what
they
I was
got
trying to think of
more,
the name of earlier.
Yeah, let me look here, but it's got more of an the ethereal look to it, where it's like the half the bodies of the Sylvaneth there, where it's like ghost like there's more ghost essence in those undead.
So apparently there's something within the gnarl wood that's kind of twisted. Oh, they even say it up here. They are maddened twistwood spite revenants. So they are spite revenants like what you have in your army, but they're being twisted by something that's infecting the forest. So it's a darker side to the Sylvaneth. They're expanding the lore, basically.
Oh.
Nighthaunt are the
Games
ghost
Workshop.
ones.
Games Workshop, when I hit the back button once, I want to go back one page, not back to the beginning.
Yes. Their new website is horrible. It just is. Socks, do you have any favourites amongst these three?
Not really.
Nothing really grabs you at all?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Sometimes something will. I mean, it's very rarely something.
Occasionally.
It's very rarely be something that you would buy yourself, but sometimes you're like, that one's not bad.
Yeah. No, not this time.
I think mine is that there's a tree lady that's got like a wand that's casting beads.
I think that's a branch witch is what those are.
Thank you.
I know
I
that.
just think it's cool. It doesn't matter, George. We'll move on.
No, I found it. It's the Ocearch Bone Reapers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I would have never remembered that. I don't know why it was bothering me that I couldn't remember it.
Coming up next is some resin terrain that's on Kickstarter at the moment. And they're Japanese villages. So there's quite a few Japanese village terrain pieces out there that you can get now. So I'm sure there's some people out there that's going, yeah, why is this one grabbing your attention? I mean, for starters, this is it's actually like poured resin, which is not done for terrain very often because it's very time consuming. The other thing I really like about this particular is they're actually specifically designed on research of what the village buildings were like in the day. So it's designed so that the wall thicknesses are in scale, and the way that they are designed is in scale with what we know of the time. We know being the important thing, because we don't know everything. So they're designed to fit with feudal Japan. Because...
Speak for yourself.
What are we speaking about?
You said we don't know everything.
Oh, well, we don't.
I said speak for yourself. These are beyond gorgeous and stunning.
That they've done really well here, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the art of make it as simple as possible, and it looks so much better. Which, I mean, and that's how it was. So, Socks, you were saying.
I like the kind of the stones that are shown on the roofs, holding the thatching down.
That's what gets my attention too. I really like that.
That's a tiny little nuance, yeah. And what you were talking about there, Bruce, where the wall thickness is to scale. Like, really, who does that?
Yeah, I know.
Who makes sure the wall thickness is to scale?
I mean, if you're doing something in resin, I suppose you kind of have that option. You like doing that with MDF would just be impossible because MDF comes in certain thicknesses.
Yeah, for sure.
And from a gaming perspective, it wouldn't make any sense anyway. Like, it wouldn't matter. These have all been, because these are based on a previous line, they've all been redesigned so that you got playable interiors in them as well. So you can actually open them up and there's stuff to go inside and stuff. I just think this is really nice.
Yeah, the fact that it is actually poured resin is just...
Yeah.
I mean, who does that anymore?
It's
okay. Hold on. Who does that well anymore?
True. That is a good point. It actually took me quite some time to figure out what these were made of, because it's not clearly laid out in the campaign. If I was to give a bit of criticism, that would be it. I had to go hunting to find out what they're made out of. It's in the comments somewhere, where they talk about it. It's either in the updates. Oh no, it's in the FAQs.
Faku.
Yep. It's in the FAQs somewhere. I can't find it. It doesn't matter. It's under whether you can just paint them straight away or not. You go. It needs to be washed with warm soapy water because it's resin. So.
Oh.
In saying that, it doesn't specifically say that it's poured, but I don't see them spinning this. There's no way that they would spin this.
Yeah.
It's not spinnable for starters. This is something that would have to be poured. It's too large. So, yeah, anyway, honestly, it's a very simple Kickstarter. It's also rather affordable, really, for what it is.
Oh, God. Yeah, like one of these...
Like, can you get cheaper buildings from MDF? Yes. But I don't think that's the point.
Well, so it's not available anymore. but it was the Village Builder level 5. That was 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 buildings with roofs, right?
Yep.
£100 or $127 right? How much would that cost in MDF?
Probably not far from that. By the time you paid for
I-
postage, depending on where it came from.
Right. I'm thinking $85 is probably a good fair estimate.
Yep.
Maybe an even 100, but that would have to be like the super high quality MDF, like just TT Combat.
Look, if you're buying TT Combat,
Warhammer.
you would definitely be getting a lot more for your money. But the other issue is that you would end up having to have a lot of repeats as well.
Yeah.
Because like in a simple village building, you don't get that much variety that you could buy 9 different looking buildings.
So, I mean, the price of this, I mean, and then this level should no longer be available, because anyone who is interested in getting terrain like this, for that price, you should just be getting as much as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, this is...
Like, if you're looking for anything historic or Bushido or like anything in between, like, so that just fits really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they've done really well here. But yeah, like, it's a very simple Kickstarter. So, moving on.
Hey, Jason.
Yes?
Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom?
Why?
Because the P is silent.
I like that. So, we have a new model from Lucid Eye Publications, which is a very old school looking pterodactyl. And like this looks like it's out of a movie from the 50s or 60s.
Like
B
100
movie.
years BC or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 10,000 years BC or whatever it is. Yeah, like that, what's his first name? Harryhausen. The stop motion guy.
Oh, yeah. It seems pretty clear to me, at least, that this is their deliberate choice. We got a couple of other ones here.
Ray Harryhausen.
Is that the name? Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't leave that. Sorry.
To me, it seems like they're doing this on purpose. Like, it's very clearly a deliberate nod to those sorts of things. And I've seen a few companies do things like this, where like they're deliberately putting dinosaurs out there that we know don't exist anymore, but they're doing it because there's like a nostalgic feel to some of the stuff like this. I mean, the pterodactyl did exist; it just didn't look like this.
Yeah.
There is also, from the same people, this is actually out now, but it's a recent, because we hadn't looked at this sort of stuff for a while. So we have Sprack the Neanderthal, who is, again, very, very much feeling like it's straight out of that sort of era of films, to me at least. Because we know that they didn't really use... It just looks gorgeous. Hand sculpted by the look of it too. Like, that's definitely hand sculpted with the look of that, the way that fur's done. Because that's not sculpted in metal. Oh, it's not sculpted in sorry, I saw the made in metal as I was speaking. It's not sculpted
3D.
in 3D. It's sculpted in green stuff. And the last one is Also the Hunter. Now, obviously, it's meant to be Also or Also or something, I guess. But to me, I'm looking at this and it says Also the Hunter. So I'm saying Also the Hunter.
There's probably some sort of inflection that needs to be put on the O with that marking on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also kind of suspect that maybe it's just we're going to call it this because we think it's funny. Because
I could totally see that.
Yeah, it just fits. So Savage Core Monolith seems to have a lot of this sort of... Savage Core is the game that these are designed for, as far as I understand. But they're just gorgeous. And I love the old school nature of it. Like, they feel like they're out of those, like you said, that the Hausen movies.
Yeah,
it just feels like they're from that stop motion era.
Yeah, it totally does. It just... There's certain things where it's just a very unique aesthetic that only exists in that one thing, and there's certain ones that just pop out, like that era of filmmaking. Like, there's the cheesy look of, this is the cool idea. We have no, and there are a lot of the inaccuracies were just from the fact of we just didn't even know our own history that well at that point yet.
True. Yeah, very much so.
And when I say no, I mean like publicly educated on.
No, like there's a lot of falsities that are taught as history.
Yeah, so
Like, we know for a fact that the Spanish didn't believe that the world was flat at the time where America was founded. We know that they didn't believe that, but it's still taught, which is insane.
yeah,
Anyway,
great aesthetic choice.
I really like what they're doing here. I think the pterodactyl's my favorite, just for obvious reasons. Oh, there's one I've missed. I forgot to talk about the cave woman.
I was gonna say Zarathustra.
Zarathustra.
That's my favorite looking model.
And she's, again, very much based on those sort of movies because it was always very much the sort of aesthetic they went for. I'm only going to zoom on that very briefly and then come back to a wide view because it's...
Not that kind of channel.
Not that kind of channel, yeah. Look, it's meant to be representing a specific point in time, and that is generally how most of them would have been dressing at the time, as far as we know. So, that is
in the movies, anyways.
Oh, that's fairly understood that they would have been like that in real life too. I mean, we don't know that for a fact, obviously, but most tribal life was. Not all, but most. Because we made that sexual, not the other way around. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, these guys are very clearly going for those sort of movies where, yes, they did that for other reasons.
For sure.
But, yeah. But, yeah, there is basis for it there as well. I don't know Savage Core, the actual game itself. I mean, you can go click on Savage Core 2 up the top there and look at more of it. Links will be in the description if you want to look into the game itself. But I just like the aesthetic of the miniatures themselves. But it's moving on time.
It is moving on.
Yep.
TT Combat?
TT
Yeah,
Combat.
I don't know who they are.
So we are starting with the Hydra Beckons, which is a Carnivale set that I love. Like, this is, again, something that's just gorgeous. And
Release the Kraken.
Pretty much. The little mini Kraken, which they're calling a Hydra.
I guess the infant one.
Led by oh no, though it is a Kraken. Sorry, I stand corrected.
An infant
I quite
Kraken.
like the siren.
It's just a baby
thing, where it's like a jellyfish with a fake naked lady on top that's trying to lure you into the water. Like, that's a really cool. Oh no, it's meant to be an octopus. Sorry, not a jellyfish. No. Oh no, he's the octopus.
I like the squid dude.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's gorgeous. I don't know if there's anything on this that I don't like is the problem. I don't need another force that I'm not going to use. So yeah, we've got the infant Kraken. We've got the half-breed octopus-human hybrid, which is the one that George likes. The Agalope is that thing down the bottom. And then we have the Serena, which is luring prey out into the open. So, yeah. So, the one that looks like it's trying to lure you is the one that's trying to lure you.
So the little baby
favorite is.
The little baby Kraken.
Yep.
Is giving me Kang the Conqueror vibes from or not Kang, Krang from TMNT.
Yeah, I can't unsee that now. That is actually a really good point.
It's
I
still
think the octopus guy is my favorite.
Yeah, the half squid, that looks so dope.
It's just really cool. I do like the Serena that's trying to lure you into the water. I love that, the jellyfish to human type. I've never seen anybody do that with fiction before. Genuinely is kind of like a first. I mean, there may have been art about it before, but I've never seen that particular version of this idea before. and it works really, really well. But I think the octopus is the highlight. That octopus man is, again, like octopus man is not something that's new, but I've never seen somebody take it to this extreme before. Normally, it's kind of like the Ursula type thing where it's human up top, so like the centaur type idea. I think this is more interesting.
I'm about to utter something I think that is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
The half octopus guy just generated the idea of like some Marvel cinematic thing, right? But it's steampunk Victorian, and that's Doc Ock.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be a cool one.
Yeah,
someone who is much more creative than me come up with that. Write it.
Yeah, that is a really cool idea. We also
moving on to what I think looks better than this set even.
La Grazia?
La Grazia Industrial Works.
Yep. So this is for the doctors, which is like the mad scientist type guys. Only one of them looks mad, though, ironically. Yes. Like, honestly, yes. Is the best thing I can say here.
Bruce, you could be mad without looking crazy.
True. Generally, with the doctors, they tend to lean into the insanity quite heavily, though. Because they're supposed to be, like, operating on people inside the madhouse. The mech in the middle is just magnificent.
Like, so all of these, every single one of these miniatures, when the phrase is uttered, because it's said a lot, steampunk Victorian, right? That is the genre. Everything in this image is literally a stereotype of what you encounter for that kind of imagery. I think this is just absolutely gorgeous. You got the hand crank gun there, obviously the little exosuit.
I like
absolutely brilliant.
I like the two madmen that have been like surgically attached to one another. That's just awesome.
Well, no, it's sewn together hug me jackets.
Yep,
straight jackets.
Yeah, it's a magnificent.
Yes,
I love it.
Hug me jackets.
And I just want to say, like, okay, so I said I like the mech. The second one across, and the last one. Like, we have of all of these here. 3 of them are Ghostbusters. So ignoring the mech. But the very next one, that's a Ghostbuster. We have the mad scientists. Okay, sure. Then we've got a Ghostbuster. And then to match it up, we have a Ghostbuster. Because that's a slime blower. So, you can't tell me it's not.
I would almost argue that the mech suit is Ghostbuster-ish than is like it was an armor to fight the ghost with.
Yeah.
Like what I. But again, like the aesthetic on this is probably one of the best cohesive sets I've seen. Period.
It does feel very cohesive. It definitely feels like it belongs together, and it's a complete gang. So you can just play the game with this with one box. How competitive it would be is obviously another question. Because usually the whole thing is that, yes, this is a good way to start, but you want to buy more so that you can be more competitive.
For sure.
But just this alone is just gorgeous. I love it.
And then as of the last day, next on their pre-order list was a Carry Hawk dropship.
Yep. So this is for the UCM.
No, it's not. Resistance.
It's for the Resisty.
Sorry, it is too. Sorry.
You got the fist.
Yes, I know. I just got confused. I actually think this might be... Oh, I don't know. I really like the look of this.
I do too.
It looks like a flying death trap to me.
That is true.
Yeah.
But it still looks cool.
As far as aesthetics is concerned, I think it might be my new favorite flyer in the game.
I will still take the looks of the Resistance helicopter over this.
Oh, the helicopter is gorgeous. There's definitely no argument there. But I really, really like this.
Yeah, I don't. This looks like a flying death trap.
Yeah, it's Resistance. Nothing has to be safe with the Resistance. Everything's kind of thrown together, right?
Do you not know about the Offspray?
Yeah, and they're in the middle of fighting a war with whatever they can scrounge together. Why does whether
No,
it's
the-
safe or not matter?
No, the actual CV-22 Osprey.
No, I
the
know. I'm talking
transport
about the lore of the game, though. Like, why would the safety of the design make any
Because that looks
difference
like
to
an
the
osprey,
resistance?
and that thing's a death trap. Like this actually straight up, with exception of the tail section, it looks like a current use military vehicle that's a death trap.
People, do you see the point that I'm making? Because they don't seem to see what I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just kind of pointing out that to the resistance, that doesn't matter. Am I wrong?
Yes, because it even doesn't matter if it's a resistance or not. The UCM would use that because it's already in use, and we don't need to, but we are.
Anyways,
All right.
We got some
Sarissa
buggies, too.
Precision.
Yeah, last one we've got is the buggies.
Oh yeah, the buggies. Yeah.
these are for UCM.
Yeah, these are for UCM. And I think this is just a bundle of stuff we already have, right? Or is it something that was previewed, maybe? I've definitely seen this.
I've seen it in the last couple weeks.
Maybe
So
this is something that was teased around Christmas time. Maybe that's where I'm getting the thought from.
That and
It
let's
might have
be
been
honest,
the advent calendar.
The UCM vehicles, they all start to kind of like it's just the
One together.
progression of the next one, like
Yeah.
updating the model. Like I'm very underwhelmed by this, considering all the things that could be done.
Yeah. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like I've seen it, though. But yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it's very familiar looking for sure.
Yep.
Now
And
some
then
more Sarissa Precision.
we're going into some 15...
The Sarissa Precision
Yep.
terrain. We got more of it.
Sarissa Precision. Yep. So we're going into some 15mm terrain. And we're going to look at a couple of sets here. These have all been recently released. And I think the first thing I want to point out is, like, this is 15mm stuff. Like, seriously, they're getting a lot of detail out of a very small scale. This is phenomenal when you remember the size of it. Could you get more detail over 28mm thing? Yes, of course you could. But this is smaller.
Because there's more there.
Yeah.
God,
This
this looks so good.
phenomenal.
This is so good and so cheap too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is only
Well-
15mm, so...
Well, yeah,
Hence
you're
the
not
price.
wrong. I'm just saying, like, I mean, how much does this terrain cost? I mean, we just talked about that with the Kickstarter about that price.
Yeah.
Good terrain is not cheap. Cheap terrain
No.
is not good. You
Yep.
know, it's and this looks good for the price.
It does. The next one that we're looking at is destroyed version, essentially of the same-ish set. It's not exactly, but same sort of idea. It's still townhouses, but these have all been damaged in bombings and so on and so forth. Just gorgeous, gorgeous looking stuff. And then again, I'm kind of moving through these because, like, there's not as much really to see here. So we've got a radar assault set, which is very clearly set up as like this is kind of like a mission set that you can set your game around. And so you got like the couple of bunkers here with like guard houses and the radar obviously that
Dragon's
you're
Teeth.
the dragons. Yeah, I was trying to think of what they were called. The dragon's teeth, and then you obviously you've got your radar, which is very clearly what you're trying to destroy. I mean that's what I feel is the most obvious thing that you would use this set for. And then last but not least, there is more that
Can
I
I
could
point
have
out-
shown, but oh yeah,
Can I point out the little detail in that accessory set?
yeah,
The little bunker with the corner slot, not like just a flat one where you only have a narrow arc versus a wider arc because you're looking out of a corner.
yep.
Yeah.
And the fact that they built it so that there is actually multiple layers there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's actually, like, if you was to do the inside and paint it like a different color, it would look like it's armored. Like you do the outside like the usual cement, and then you put something on the inside that's like metal or something. Just something to make it look like it's actually armored.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then last but not least, like I said, there is more of this I could go through, but I kind of picked out what I thought was the nicest. And this is just like the one damaged townhouse that actually does break apart into 2 or into 4. It's just really well done. There is another version of this where it is the full house. So it's like the same thing, but you actually get like the complete roof and everything as well. And you get that with a couple of the other ones that we've looked at, where you have like damaged and undamaged versions of houses, which if you're playing certain types of games would be magnificent, because there are certain games where you can actually damage buildings, and therefore you could show it by changing the terrain out and not just putting a smoke thing over the top of it, which is what usually happens. But I love these particular styles of sets because
For sure.
you're getting a lot more out of one kit. Like you could buy multiples of this if you wanted to. And like you can have one that's like sitting there full, and then you can have one that's broken open and one that's broken up into 4. And you wouldn't necessarily notice that they're the same building unless you knew. Sarissa Precission continue to have amazing stuff.
Yes.
Any particular highlights from you guys? From today?
Ooh, probably AOS 4th.
Okay. I mean, I'm definitely excited for the Skaven.
Do we not have some crooked dice to look at?
We do,
Oh,
but we're not there
We
yet.
forgot about Cricket Dice.
Oh, that's a good point. Why is that not open?
I don't know.
I did open it.
You're the one that put it on the run sheet.
Because
No, I know, but
reasons.
I must have closed it accidentally when I was looking at something else. So, yes,
Because
Crooked
there's
Dice
definitely
also
not
have
a
some
light
new
cycle bike
releases.
at all.
So I just real quick on the terrain real quick. Apparently it is the exact same scale as Flames of War.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously fantastic terrain for that game. Cricket Dice, sorry.
Yep. So we got a few new releases. I mean, we've got a lot of new releases since we don't look at Crooked Dice all the time. A couple of obvious things that I would just briefly talk about. There is the firehouse down on the right-hand side there, and Sox has already pointed out the Tron cycle, as well as they call it an Electron Hunter. The one I want to look at, like, we have this news team here, right? And we have Commander Kuro. I also like the fact that there's an arcade machine, but I'm not going to open it.
The Mutant Martial Artist.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely not the...
So, opening up the news team first, just because look, I'm not a fan of this movie, but it's Anchorman, and it has a huge following. Like, everybody loves this movie but me, I feel. I'm just not a Will
TV
Smith.
news team?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 7 TV news team. Like, that's Anchorman. It's 100% Anchorman.
You mean Will Ferrell then?
Will Ferrell. I was going to correct myself, but then you asked another question. Will Ferrell's comedy is just not something that grabs me. I've never been a huge fan. I don't mind him in things. I just don't like stuff.
Talladega Nights then.
I have seen Talladega Nights.
Oh, okay.
I don't. It's not that I don't like him. I don't like his writing. If he's being directed by somebody else in a film that has been written for him, I feel that he's better than if he is the person leading the project.
That's fair. That's fair. The prime example was the Sherlock and Holmes movie that he did with John C. Reilly.
Yeah, which is notoriously very well received. Not. I do think this set's really cool though, and it's a fairly typical news team, right? Like, it could be anything, really. We also have Commander Kuro, which kind of feels like the bad guy in every science fiction movie ever made, especially from the 80s.
He's giving me an M. Bison feel minus the cape.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely with you there. If this is a specific call out from a specific franchise, I don't know what it is. Because a lot of their stuff is designed to be specific things. But I just love it. The next one is very clearly from the Turtles. I mean, some franchise, it could be anything, but it's definitely from the Turtles. Because that's Bebop and Rocksteady, and it's very clearly Bebop and Rocksteady. They just happen to be two random mutant brutes. One just happens to look like a rhinoceros, and one happens to look like a warthog. It's just coincidence. They could be anything.
Pure coincidence.
And
Bruce,
yes.
Oh yeah, so were you about to talk about the martial arts masters?
I was, but did you have something else first?
Go ahead, because the next one I love the subtle call out on this one. But go ahead with the mutants.
Well, it's the Turtles, right? It's just 100% the Turtles, and they are sculpted phenomenally. All of them look really good.
It's not the Renaissance artists.
No. It's definitely the Turtles. I like the skateboard. I like the fact that there's a mouser on one of the bases. Though it needs to be pointed in the other way. Like, if you're going to have a mouser on the base, point it at the thing that it's trying to kill. I just think they look awesome. Doesn't really matter which turtle is your favorite. Like, the answer is yes. And you wanted to point something about something.
The Scarlet Troopers, the Shock Troopers, and the Bazooka guy.
Yes.
The were they the Cobra Elites, the ones that wore the red?
It's what it feels like to me. Like, these are. It's the sort of design that you've kind of seen 100 times. So depending on how you paint them, they could be almost anything. But yeah, to me, this is Cobra Troopers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the fact that they've got that extra face mask thing, that red with the helmet, like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you was to paint this up yellow, I think that could easily fit for AIM Troopers out of Marvel. Because it's not the same. It's just a very similar aesthetic.
You could pull it off. It's do the little faceplate as the green, yellow, whatever color the gloves and boots were. Because weren't those different colors or
possibly? Yeah.
We
got a couple of there's the Sea Devil. We've got the Bazooka, which is just varying things on the same design. So the Sea Devil is just some monster thing that's working for them that comes from under the sea, hence Sea Devil. Scarlet Bazooka is... Yep.
I was going to say, obviously, not doctors from Doctor Who either.
No, definitely not. Though they've been around for a while. The Scarlet Bazooka is, it's one of the same troopers, but with a bazooka. And then we also have an automaton that, to me, belongs in... what is it? Where it's the Big Daddy from... the video game where you're under the sea. This is going to bug me. What's it called? It is called... I've uninstalled it. Oh, well, somebody will correct me in the comments. I don't remember.
You had me all the way up to and then under the sea. You just...
There's a video game where, you get powers and you're, shooting electricity and stuff and you're picking up more powers. The Big Daddies are these big, scary automaton.
Bioshock,
yes. Yeah, that's it. I also want to say the Red Baron is just cool. He's just a really cool bad guy. Again, he kind of feels like he could be out of any science fiction that's ever been made.
He needs a pizza. He's still a Red Baron. No, I love the if you click on it, if you go into it, there's like the helmet off image right there.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you there as well.
So he used to paint that up like he's an absolute tool.
Yep. The thing I like about the sets like this that Crooked Dice does is, I mean, they design it so that, like, in theory, like, you're actually running a TV show, and that's what the game is that's the story of the TV show. But you could legitimately make your own universe of characters with all of this stuff very, very easily. Like, just because this is all meant to be kind of tongue-in-cheek doesn't mean that you couldn't just 100% do this deadly serious. Oh, they've redone the Doctors.
There's no one here amongst the three of us that has the ability to raise their hand when I say there's no way we've ever created a character for a role-playing game that isn't some sort of tribute or mocking of something else, and you could use one of these figures for it. You've never done a tribute character, Bruce.
No. You're saying there's nobody that couldn't, and I'm raising my hand because I agree with you. So
no.
I have done this, is what I'm saying.
Socks, you've had to have done this at some point.
Even in miniatures, you still do stuff where it's a tribute to a certain thing.
Right, but what I'm saying is like you're doing that, that tribute knockoff, right, for a D&D campaign or something like that.
Yeah.
These guys give you that miniature you're looking for.
Yeah, 100%.
Without even trying.
Yeah. So, really, really nice stuff. Oh,
God,
again,
the yuppie.
Yeah.
Yuppie?
Down at the very bottom.
It's the guy that plays Shooter McGavin, but he's a Wall Street guy.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, no, I like that. That's cool. Highlight, I don't know highlight-wise. Like, there's been a lot of really good stuff, so I don't really have a specific
highlight for me still is the AOS 4th. Just because AOS amongst the two games, I think, is the so much more solid game.
Yep.
Than what 40K is. And I've not read anything bad about... The only bad edition was first edition when there was no point values.
I mean, as far as
After
box
that-
sets is concerned, I really like that Kadinka battle fleet.
Kadinka.
Highlight's probably the 15 mil buildings, but I'm also in a situation where I would never buy them because I don't have anything that they would work for. But I just think they look gorgeous. So
Bruce, the first thing that popped in my head as kind of a highlight was the not the Tron E-Cycle
oh yeah,
as like some sort of like super rare villain or something like that, cruising the streets of Entropy City.
excuse me. Yep. Yeah, that'd be cool. Put the vigilante in it.
No, it's like the District 1 from Hunger Games. It's like, what are the really wealthy, well-off people? They have the E-Cycle kind of thing, and they're out there, punking on them too.
Yep.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
One of the longest running jokes that we've had on this podcast is about Dice and me, right?
It's not a joke.
No, it is and it's not. Dice genuinely do hate me. But what has been your long-running solution to this problem, George?
To get dice made in the Southern Hemisphere, because the majority of the dice are barely manufactured in the Northern Hemisphere, thus not calibrated for Australia, thus Bruce has terrible rolls, and everyone that trounces him with dice rolls, they're being smart and buying Australian dice.
Well, we now have Australian dice.
To the point where I was walking around a local bookstore with my wife last Saturday, and in the bookstore it had a dice jail. And I showed that to everyone, and we said, we need to get this for Bruce.
It wouldn't be a dice jail. It would be a dice supermax facility with like workout yards. And
Don't give me ideas. That's actually a really tempting idea.
Anyways.
You'd have room for all the dice then, Bruce.
I think it was Michelle made a remark about how I needed to buy one of these things, and I said, well, there'd be no point. I wouldn't have any dice left.
Yep.
Because they'd all end up in there. So yeah, I don't know how long
Oh, and the irony that you're in Australia, which was founded as a penal colony too.
That's a good point. I don't know how long Oz Dice have been around. I literally discovered these guys a week and a half ago when I was looking up dice because I am going to have to buy more dice for something that we will discuss later. I do have some dice, but I need multiple colors of dice. So I was looking around and I came across this and I'm like, ooh. So I'm just going to start by going D6 because for most people, this is what they're going to be looking at. So you can either do it at the top by going dice and then Oz Dice D6.
Wait. Okay, I see them.
Yep. So I'm going to start by opening just it doesn't matter what color, just open one of the slabs. Just because if you want to buy bulk dice, this is the way that you do it. So I've opened up the red one just because it's the one that I clicked on. This is a slab of 100 dice. These are 12 mil dice, so they are the smaller ones. I am not buying 12 mil dice this time, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Pay attention. Orc players, pay attention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. As far as the slabs is concerned, you can get them in red, blue, green, and white. I'm surprised there's no black, because that is a fairly common dice color.
Yeah.
We also have, like, there's a couple of... Possibly. Like I said, I don't know how long these guys have been around.
Hold up, Bruce, real quick. We can't pass this up. If you go into all the D6 or the slabs of dice are, the last item on the list, the 4-pack for $27.
400 dice, $27.
For $27.
Oh, you're just in all dice.
No, it was the D6 12 mil.
Oh, wow.
You get all 4 slabs for $27.
Yep. So it's converting to American dollars for you. Cool. So the slabs are $15 each for me, or $40 for the whole lot. So you're essentially getting a slab for free.
Yeah.
With those prices. You also have that really cool 10 dice glow in the dark set, which is really cool. And you have a couple of Chessex sets there as well, because Chessex...
Bruce, you can't get those. Those are Northern Hemisphere.
I know, but this isn't just about me.
I'm just warning you.
Don't get the Chessex.
I know.
You can get the glow in the dark ones. That wasn't made down there for you, or the slabs.
I'm going to look at
dice
this.
Towers look like. Okay, it's just one of those. Don't worry.
It's one of the acrylic ones, yeah.
Yeah.
I will open that later, but for the moment, I just want to look at the 16 mil dice because this is the direction that I will be going.
Absolutely. Oh.
So
this literally just feels like I opened up Chessex.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So the problem I have with 12 mil dice is that because they don't have any weight in them, what I generally tend to find is they don't so much roll, is they land and slide. Unless you have a dice tower, which will help you.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no weight there to them. So I always used to buy 12 mil dice because I got more for my money, and I was a cheapskate. But I kind of felt over time that it kind of started failing because I think that's part of the problem that I used to have. It's not the only problem. The fact that they hate me is definitely an issue, but so this time I'm going the other way. Mathematically, apparently 16 mil dice are better and roll fairer, as opposed because 12 mil dice notoriously the weight is a bigger problem. Because it's not all even, and because the pips are the same, it makes a bigger difference in the die, basically. Or at least, so I'm told. So this is where I'm going to be going. Like, you have all of the colours under the sun here, including a really cool-looking see-through green one up here at the top. The Borealis one. That's a Chessex again, though. There's also a metal set, a forest green metal set, which is 5 dice for $20 up here at the top.
Oh, is that what those were? I didn't read the material.
Uh,
That's a really cool take on that, because normally metal dice are like very elaborate. These are just normal regular dice.
Yes.
That's cool.
And the thing I like about this is I can't see a single option here that's hard to read, which Chessex you have a problem with quite frequently.
I'd
Some
say
of
about
their
a fifth of the
elaborate
time.
ones are difficult.
Yeah.
What was you just saying, George? Sorry?
A fifth of them. Like a fifth of their sets are probably hard to read.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of quickly scrolling through here for everybody to show the different, like all of it's $15 for 12 dice too. It's fairly well priced.
So there's one set I would say is hard to read, and that's the Blood Marble set.
Yeah, I would agree that
I
that's
would
the
argue
hardest.
That's probably the hardest one to read. The rest of them are pretty. It's pretty contrasting.
Yeah. George, pick one of the color sets.
Let's go with the Dark Earth.
Dark Earth. Yep. Socks, pick a color set.
The Poseidon dice on page 2.
Poseidon. Yep. I am going to open up the one that George just said, just because I want to show the blood ones a little bit closer. For me, I am going to open up. Where is it? The midnight ones. There. Actually, I'm going to open up those as well. All right, so I'm going to start with the ones for George, that George said, which is the Dark Earth ones. And I have to lean with you. I really like these ones, actually. I really, really like these. They kind of, when they're in the description, they kind of hint that this is kind of like a chaos thing, which it isn't necessarily. But
This felt very dwarfish when I looked at it.
Yeah.
yeah,
can see
actually,
that.
I will agree with you on that. If you scroll across one picture, they do seem to come in boxes very similar to the Chessex ones. Which
They
makes
do.
me makes me wonder where them. It wouldn't entirely surprise me if these are actually made, because there's no way these are made in Australia. Like, they are being made in Asia somewhere.
Other
Like,
parts of the
that's
world.
just, yeah. But if they're being calibrated for Australia, that's all that matters, right? Socks had said another one that I was also very tempted by, which is this black and blue Poseidon set. I do think that the gold offsets them really nicely. Like it still works on the previous one, but it's a really nice contrast on the Poseidon set. The one that I opened was Midnight, which is kind of like, there's greens and blacks and blues with a little bit. They've all got a little bit of sparkle in them as well. Not overbearing on the sparkle, which I quite like. But there's different colours in the sparkle. In the mine, it's a blue sparkle. I think the one that George said, I think that's a gold sparkle from memory.
Yeah.
Don't know what yours is, Socks. Yours might be blue as well. It's not very obvious in the picture. You had mentioned.
Holy smokes!
What have you?
The
what?
the D6 Mega Pack.
Oh yeah. You had mentioned the blood marble, and I just opened that just so that we could show it on screen for those
Yeah.
that are looking at the video. Like, it's a gorgeous color, but it is very hard to read. If I was to have done that, I would probably have black pipped them. But
I agree.
the gold is very clearly part of their aesthetic, so
Yeah.
it seems that everything has to have that. Because you couldn't choose white on them, because then you would have the same problem on the other color in there. But in saying that, there's no reason why you couldn't repaint them. I mean, people do that to dice all the time, right?
Well, let's say this too, right? So we'll see this on a scale of 1 to 10, right? All the other dice sets are 7, well, no, not even 7, 8, 9, 10, right? As far as contrast and readability.
Yep.
These aren't bad. These are like a 4, maybe a 5. It's right
Yeah.
in the middle. It's not.
Yeah.
I
It's
have
not
had
terribly
worse.
hard, but Yeah. Oh, no,
I have had
I've
worse.
seen lots worse. Yeah.
Like Chessex has some notoriously impossible to read dice. Some of which I bought, unfortunately.
I have a D&D set. It's the holographic, where it's the CD, and the light.
Yep.
Right? And then black numbers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You would think, oh, great contrast. Can't read it for crap.
Yeah. The last one that I opened was Unicorn Tail, which is pink and blue and white pips. And it shouldn't work, but it really, really does.
It's cotton candy.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah. It works insanely well. Like, this was almost one of my picks, and it wouldn't have fit my theme at all. I can tell you what I did buy, and I find it quite hilarious because I bought a set of the Dark Earth, and I bought a set of the Midnight, which is why I opened the Midnight. Actually, I bought 2 sets of the Midnight.
I still haven't found the Midnight, I guess.
Bottom row of the first page. Second from the left.
Oh, the black and green. Gotcha.
It's black-green.
Yep.
There's a little hint of blue through it as well.
It does look nice. Yeah. I like that set.
Yeah, that does look good.
There is actually a Fairy Floss one on the second page too, which is quite nice. This is that's very, very much cotton candy though.
Oh, okay. I wasn't for certain if that was the same word in AU as it is in UK.
What, cotton candy?
Fairy floss.
Oh yeah, Fairy Floss is what we would normally call it. Yeah. So there we go. That's Oz Dice. Very, very quickly, just because they are there, we will quickly look at the dice tower. It's a fairly generic-looking acrylic dice tower. I'm not hating on it. It's just that's all it is. It's just an acrylic dice tower that looks the same as everybody else's. I will say this. It does have 4 tiers, not just the 3. Which is nice. It'll add some variability to it. We also have, under accessories, is a whole heap of dice trays in pretty much whatever colour you would want. And last but not least, I'll show off the dice bags, which are dice bags. You've got your fairly generic-looking one that everybody always has. But then you've also got these fan roll ones, which are more for D&D, where you can put multiple different sets in different pockets inside the bag, which is quite nice. I don't know how long these guys have been around. I've only just seen them advertised over the last few months. So I kind of feel like these guys must be fairly new, but I don't know.
Do you want to look at one last thing, Bruce?
Sure.
Go to dice and go to dragon dice.
Yeah, I was looking at these already. They look nice.
This is the dice things, right? Oh, no. Are you looking at the big ones?
No, I was actually looking at the Transformers.
Ah, yep. So these are actually from Hasbro. These are actually Transformers. Well, they're not officially Transformers, but they are Transformers.
Yeah. I thought those looked great, and then there's the little gesture beholder. That's adorable. So,
first things first, it is generally recommended that rolling these is not a good thing because they are not balanced. They're not really designed to be balanced. But
they're
they are
1,000% opposite of balance.
Oh yeah, there's no way that you could have this. That these are a gimmick. They are not. To be fair, these came out for the movie, and it just is something that makes a lot of sense. To me, it's the easiest crossover that Hasbro have ever had. The dragon looks from memory. Correct me if I'm wrong, JP, but don't you have the green dragon in these, or do you have the black dragon? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you've got one of these. I just don't remember which one it is.
Is that the name? There's something triggering in my brain now.
He's the red and black dragons.
He's the red and black dragons.
The Hobbit song in the tavern.
Oh, God,
where they're dancing on the table singing. It comes from the green dragon.
Okay.
You said that triggered him. I don't know why.
I I just want to say, like, the big D20s up the top, like the Dragon's Eye ones, are gorgeous.
Yeah, I like those.
Like, they really, really are.
I like that blue one.
So that's the dice you use when you're the DM, when you're just be like, well, I'm rolling this, so there's no statistic probability. Like, it's going to be weighed one way or the other if it turns out you like that as the DM.
Yep. The thing to keep in mind with resin dice, which is what these larger ones are, is that you don't want to be rolling them on... Like, you want to roll them on a dice tray. You will break them if you're rolling them on hard surfaces. Maybe not instantly, you'll need to but it will happen over time.
A padded dice box or a neoprene mat or something.
I really like the container that they come in too, actually.
Oh yeah, it's very like, you know, this
Premium.
is the chosen die kind of thing.
It's the sort of thing that you sit it on the top of your of the tower, just to threaten and mind play with your players. Oh, let's see how well you do. That would just be gorgeous. All right, I think that'll do for dice.
Especially if you figure out the statistic probabilities of the numbers rolling, because it's so unbalanced. And the stuff that you as the DM you want to happen is gets these numbers, and the stuff the players happen.
It's not necessarily unbalanced. It depends on how centered the thing in the middle is.
Well, the thing of this, if it's the ones I'm thinking of, it floats, so the eye always points up. So there's a fluid inside. So there's got there's got to be. Sorry, Socks. Go ahead.
There's a little bit of weight so that eye can still pop.
Yeah.
Up.
So it's got to be like when something is there's really no unbalance. You know, it's going to get to the point of like it's very out of balance or it's too balanced. You know, there's no not balance, and so bad stuff that you want to have happen to the party. That's on the high. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you were looking at
I was
your computer
reading.
hard, like, okay.
It's just with the light in my eyes, it's kind of hard to read from back here.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think it'd be a good fate dice kind of thing.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you, honestly.
Yeah.
There's nothing on this that says that it's a liquid core, and if it was, that's something that they would want to advertise because it tends to attract a higher price.
The ones I've seen on Facebook, it's like they roll the dice and the eye swings back and forth. So
It might be. It's just that if it is, I don't understand why they haven't advertised it.
No, you might be right. Because look at this, where the iris is. That's the 20-sided embezzling. Because you got the 2 there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's got. Maybe it doesn't move then. I don't know. I was just thinking about the ones that I've seen moving on Facebook all the time.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
Have you two done nothing in the last fortnight?
I've been out of town.
I did one thing.
Yeah? What did you do?
I bought plans for a 3D model that has made me start looking my toes into resin printing now.
Yes? And the you should talk more about this, George. Otherwise, I'm going to rant for 10, 15 minutes. Come on.
What, the plans or the
plans? Like what you intend to print?
It'll be a very close representation of a Mars Pattern Warlord Titan.
Nice. Without having to spend a house payment
on it. Well, it depends on the house, I guess. I was talking with Socks about this. Just the body, no weapons or head, is $2,000, roughly.
Yeah.
It's like $1,829. That's $2,000 at that point.
Yeah.
And the shade we threw earlier about good poured resin.
Yeah.
Forge World does not have the reputation it used to.
The problem with poured resin has all of the you end up getting a lot more flash than you do with spun.
Mm-hmm.
It is part of the problem there. But yeah, for every time I bring this up, I get people going, "Well, Forge World, that's not. You can't have ever tried Forge World and da 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 da." It's like, no, I've tried Forge. I bought a lot of Forge World, and all of it was really bad quality, and I was very unhappy. At the time, that was pretty much all that you got out of resin when I was doing it. But it kind of started feeling like everybody else in the industry moved on, and Forge World didn't, because they have this reputation for being the best, and they haven't been for 10 years. But other people have said they've picked up their game, so it's possible that maybe our opinions on this are just out of date.
The other issue I have is, like, it seems like when there's been a couple times where it's like, I'm going to go buy this from Forge World. I want this thing now.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's out of stock, and you never know when it's going to be back in stock with Forge World.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
So I went this option. I don't feel too terribly, because prices of stuff. And the way the industry's changed, there's no reason you can't get good quality resin without having to pay that much. So,
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, no, I really haven't gotten much done. Sam did come and visit for the week, so
nice.
I didn't stop working, unfortunately. So,
well, you were doing IT stuff last weekend, I remember, because I remember asking you why you were working on the weekend or something. Oh no, it was the middle of the night. You were talking to me in the middle of your night or something.
Oh yeah, I'd gotten a page.
Yep, that's right. I remember what it was now.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I did get a lot of hobby in. I did see a game. I started following it. I don't know if I will back it. It is from CMON on the GameFound platform. God of War.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I don't know if I'll back that or not. I love the aesthetic of that IP. So I'll be interested
nice.
to see what it looks like. It'll probably be a very strong Zombicide clone, but
well, most of their board games are, right? They get tweaks, but they do essentially have their essential base core mechanics.
Cthulhu is different.
That's a very true.
Yeah,
but I mean, He-Man is just a heavily skinned Zombicide clone.
Yeah. Well, and it works for him. So I mean,
this isn't a criticism. Like everybody clones stuff, and it's their own property. They're not stealing from anybody. If it fits, why not use it? To me, God of War would fit that mechanic very well.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested to see what that is. Right. Yeah.
I've said that before because I remember you going, "Do it."
Right.
Yeah.
Socks, you were Mogwais.
Yeah. Socks, you were away. Were you doing anything of note, or?
No, I had a conference, logistics officers conference. So.
Is that where all of these photos of you came from?
Yes, it is.
I saw photos of you, and I was about to put a tag on their thing saying, "Look at Socks pretending like he's working" or something like that. But I thought, no, they're not going to know why I'm saying this, so I'm not going to do it.
No, I appreciate that.
That would almost be brilliant, and not tag him though. Just that phrase, but dress him as Socks.
Yeah, because nobody would know who I'm talking about.
Because it'd be like, what?
Who in the heck? What? Yeah. That would have been bad.
Either that or the person
funny.
sharing the photos would be wondering why I'm calling them names and might get upset.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not gonna lie, Socks. I thought about doing that too, but I was just like, that is his work stuff. I will not be myself with his work stuff.
No, I appreciate it. However, I just did order some new aerials.
Oh.
Yes. I actually ordered the Crimson's League Battlefleet set for the Sultanate. That's the aerial squadrons Battlefleet set. And the Maximilian new Zeppelin for the Imperium. So they should be arriving sometime this week, so I'll do an unboxing. And
is the Maximilian the one that I said is the new best blimp?
Yep.
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 And here's my face.
No, that's the Destiny. I think that's the Destiny. That's the one with the double-decker carrier. Yeah,
you're right.
On the two small ones on the sides. No, the Maximilian is the third large Zeppelin for the Imperium. So I'll have one of each of the large Zeppelins for the Imperium.
Which makes sense.
So
yep.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was going to get to my stuff, but we can finish.
But go ahead, Bruce. What you been up to?
I had a tournament yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you, George.
Did you dice roll well?
No, my dice did not roll at all. Malifaux doesn't use dice.
I know that. I know.
Bruce, never underestimate the power of your dice. Though.
Yeah, I know that comment made me laugh. So, Malifaux was a game that uses a deck of cards, for those that don't know. Ironically, actually, no, not ironically, predictably, that is one of the things that attracted me to it to begin with. So in the end, because the last time we were talking, I wasn't 100% sure who I was taking, because I'd promised that the next time I played, I was going to use a different faction, but then it had been at least 4 years since I've played, so I was like, well...
So everything was new?
Pretty much, yeah, and so but I ended up, again, bringing out Mr. Cooper and his Dark Circus crew, because at least that way I had something vaguely familiar, although I may as well have been playing from scratch, to be fair. I made a comment at some point last week about how I was looking forward to going, and this is something you called me on, and I thanked you for it, because I hadn't thought of it from the perspective you did. The comment was something along the lines of, I'm looking forward to going, getting destroyed in all 3 games, but still having a lot of fun. Because that's genuinely what I was expecting to happen, because it's been that long since I played. There's no way I could have been competitive. But you kind of rightly pointed out that you're not meant to be having self-deprecating humor. It's like, oh, yep, no, good point, because that is how it sounded. It's not what I intended, but it is how it sounded.
And then what happened in the actual tournament, Bruce? Did you go 1 and 2? And, you know...
I went 1... So, I lost my first game, and it was 6-4. So, I mean, I was actually winning for most of it. But it was pretty clear pretty early on that I was going to lose that game. It was just a matter of whether I could get far enough in front to prevent him from overtaking me. And I almost did, but then he pipped me at the... If I had been able to score and prevent one of his scores, it would have been a draw. But he kind of picked up all of my stuff and moved it, meaning that he scored the point and I didn't. Bastard. Which is what I expected him to do. He played very, very well. I'd pretty much lost most of my crew before the end of the second turn, and it was just it's just the way that it was going. We both played as best we could. I was also again very rusty. There's a few things I should have done that I didn't because I was rusty. Second game I think was 3-1. It was I had lost harder. And again, it was pretty clear, pretty straightforward, like from the start that that's the way that game was going. But I want to make something very clear. I loved everything I was doing in this. It was just a hell of a lot of fun. I love Malifaux. It's a great game. But I said this when I first said that I wanted to go, that the timing of this tournament was really bad for me. Because funds-wise, there was a risk that I wouldn't be able to buy a ticket in time. The reason I kept on thanking George is he bought my ticket. Thank you, George. But also, I was away last week in Sydney, which meant that I had no prep time.
Yeah.
And the prep time I did have, I spent painting.
You're welcome, I think.
No,
yeah.
I went into this somewhat blind, knowing that I was going to have this problem. I won my third game, though. Would you like to know how I won my third game? 6 points to 1. It went really well my way. Some of that is because things just went my way. Others is because I might have played a few mind games and they might have worked. So one of the things was you had to pick somebody on their crew, and if you got them into combat, you would get a point for that. And if they were in your table half by the end of the game, you would also get a point for that as well. I picked one of his characters, and he picked one of my characters. Ironically, we picked the same. And it's ironic. It seems to happen this way with quite a lot. But I picked his, and the same character had picked mine. So basically what I ended up... I got the guy up there that was the big threatening guy, and I was kind of looking like I was going to go into a combat with him. But I had this concern that if I had have done it with my big scary combat guy, he was going to bring the other guys close in and kind of defend his character, because why would he not have? So I instead made my big scary guy go the other way into those characters. And my intention was to draw him the other way. In his turn, he brought his character to me. Not really thinking about it. Because his thought, I think, was that he thought that was who I was choosing. So at the end of that turn, I managed to score the point for him being in contact. He got that point as well. But because that also was the end of the game, I then also got the point for him being in my half of the table because I had taken him prisoner. Because, like I said, I had played a mind game and the mind game had worked. I'd kind of tried to predict what I thought he would do, and I kind of got it right. I also managed to get more of my tokens down than he did and scored. It just went very, very well in my favour. He kind of got in a situation where, like, he could have ruined me, and it didn't really go his way a couple of times. Like, and I mean, like taking out models type thing. Like, he was hurting me, and he did take up a couple of my guys, but not enough to throw the balance the other way. So it went very well. I finally got in my stride and started getting my crew working right again. So I had a lot of fun. A lot of banter.
I'm glad you did.
I mentioned that I was doing some painting. I'm going to put down this thing that I'm being very coy about. So I painted 5 models in about 8 hours. So none of these are going to be perfect, but I'm starting... Nope, that's too much light. It's still too much light. All right, I'm going to show these off in photos. So I painted up 2 Ice Maidens. It should be pretty clear which ones are the Ice Maidens. I painted up a new version of Colette, which I'm probably never going to use because I have Mr. Cooper, which is a version of her already. I painted up, I think it's Carlos as the fire guy, and Dorian Crow is the purple angel-looking evil guy in the background. All of those were painted in one day. It's a mixture between airbrushing and regular paints, just largely because I was limited in time. I had
You're welcome
the
for
day
that
left.
too.
Look, I'm not making any complaints.
I
3 of these come from a box that I bought in Sydney.
To painting an army like the day before.
I could have not taken them. I bought these specifically for the tournament. I bought one of these boxes 2 weeks ago, and the other one I bought in Sydney, and I'd been keeping money aside so that I could buy it in Sydney. But I know we have people wondering if something happened, and I can happily say, or I can sadly say, depending on how you look at it, that yes, it did happen. I do have my Kroot. It's very beautiful. I have opened it. I have looked at it.
He is Kroot.
I am Kroot. I'm very, very happy that I have this. People that have been listening for a while, I don't think it was last... I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before. I'd pretty much instantly given up on getting this because the timing of when it came out meant that it was happening during a fortnight that was going to be very tight for me. But because it was then and it wasn't releasing till this weekend, it kind of balanced out. Also, one of my mates was like, we can order that in for you. Just pay it when it arrives. It's fine. Which meant that I could do it. Very, very, very happy. Also, I had a credit card get scammed. So my credit card went disappear, which meant that I wouldn't have been able to put this on Afterpay. Which was my original solution, was that I was going to Afterpay it. Just because it just would have made things easier. Yes, I know Afterpay is a trap, but sometimes it just helps. For those that are listening, this is something I have genuinely wanted for a decade. Yeah, I've genuinely wanted this for a decade, and yes, when there's things that you need, having tempting ways to get it doesn't help.
Socks.
That.
I'm fairly certain I remember Bruce talking about wanting Kroot back when we were talking, on Hot LZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been something I have like. They have always been my favorite 40k race, and I mean that literally. Like, there's a lot of cool things in 40k, whether you like it or not. There's a lot of cool things in that lore, but this one was the one I wanted. There is part of me, and I know that I will regret it if I do from a plastic crap point of view, that wants to try and get a second one of these, because I know a site that has it even cheaper than I paid for this. I got a decent price on this.
Is it just Kroot, or is it Kroot and Nids?
This box?
Yeah, it's just Kroot, right?
This is just Kroot. This is the Kroot hunting board.
Okay.
It's not a 2-player starter set, no.
Oh, okay,
Nids are also cool, though, yes.
The artwork was looking like it had Nids in it.
I'm assuming that maybe you're talking about this thing.
Yeah, I am extremely tired right now. I've been since up.
It's also in the distance. Like, if I bring that up closer, it should be much more obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, No, I've been up since 4 a.m., so I'm a little tired too.
I believe this is somewhere between 500 and 600 points. So, like, there's not really a full game in here.
It's the battle boxes, like, they do at the holidays.
Yeah, I could be slightly off on that. I have briefed through the codex. I've watched any video that I can, but I just don't remember exactly how many points it is. I think that they said it's somewhere between 500 and 600 points, and it depends on how you build it. So, I am 100% looking forward to this. When they get released on regular in like a month and a half's time, I will definitely be buying more stuff because I want a full Kroot army. I also kind of semi-intend to take my time with this, though, because this is one of a lot of things that I'm doing, so I don't have time to do everything.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards a teal skin color, is the way that I'm leaning. I don't know. I'll probably have a few variations, because that is kind of what happens. I kind of like the actual art, the box artwork is like greens and browns. And I do like that, but I just want to do something different. I'd had kind of thought of like the blobs of Kroot themselves having like one of them be this and one of them be that and one of them be something else, but make them feel like they fit close enough.
Look at birds.
Yes, that is where I've been looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I'm kind of tempted to do is stick with the browns for the Krootox, because I really like the way it looks on the artwork. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's my hobby, I think. Yep, that's my hobby.
Talk nerdy to me.
I promise I didn't just write this down so that Socks could rag on things.
I knew that as soon as I saw it earlier. I was just like, oh, I know exactly where he was not wanting me to go.
No, look. So the subject of today is like games that you've just not, like, you've never been interested in, or like, and for whatever reason, like whether it's just aesthetically, whether it's a rules thing, maybe there's just like something you don't like about a company, like just whatever's fair. My thought behind this was a couple of years ago for a Christmas special, we did like our favorite games. Mm-hmm. And it was an anniversary special, and I kind of thought, why don't we do not so much most hated games, but just things we just haven't, like things that just have never grabbed us, and for whatever reason. I'm kind of tempted to start with you, Socks, because I'm pretty sure we all know where you're going. Because it's 40k, right? Specifically. And you've kind of... You've hinted a couple of times that about certain things that maybe, like, aesthetic doesn't do anything for you, for example. But you haven't really talked about it, so I genuinely think it might be an interesting conversation. Fanboys, don't go abusing Socks because he doesn't like things.
Yeah, we do that enough already.
It's true. So yeah, all of you here know that I have never played games, any type of Games Workshop game. When I first got into miniature gaming. I was into the historical aspect. That's where I started. I always loved World War II history. I always loved Civil War history. And so when I walked into the game store and saw the slew of games on the shelf, Games Workshop never really came to me because, again, I was drawn to the historical aspect of gaming. And so when I found out that there was a group of guys that played Flames of War in the store, I no longer play Flames of War anymore. But that's what I started playing, and I've loved it. I mean, to this day, I still like the historical aspects. That's why I bought the Gettysburg set. That's why I have Black Seas. That's why I have Victory at Sea. I mean, I love the historical aspect. Yes, I've expanded now, and I have Drop Zone, Drop Fleet, Dystopian Wars. I got into the Star Wars stuff. But the Games Workshop stuff, other than especially 40K, it's never really appealed to me aesthetically. Part of the reason why
the grimdark, because everything 40K is like, it's very much like it's Judge Dredd, it's Dune, it's like
dystopian,
as bad dystopian as she possibly could be. Is it that, or is it more simple than that?
Not just that. Part of it was also cost. So when I got into tabletop gaming, I was starting a family.
Yeah,
my wife and I were had just gotten married. We were both going to school at the same time. And so
you started late, like I did then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years after we got married, we had our first kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't have a lot of cash, so I could just throw $100 down. I have 5, but I'm also making a whole lot more than I did back then. But even to this day, I never got into it. And so, and the reason why I kind of got away from Flames of War is, again, I do not like the I go, you go.
Yep.
In terms of I go my full army, you go with your full army. And as we know, that's how Flames of War is. And so that's how Games Workshop is.
Yep.
I love the alternate activation in terms of units.
That is where historical gaming... Sorry, that is where gaming came from originally. It's like that is just the way that it used to be. I don't like it either.
That's how the Civil War, Black Powder is.
Yeah.
But I really, really like it because there's an order mechanic to the game where you roll for your order from your general, and if you roll well enough, your unit will actually activate. So it still feels like, but if you don't roll well enough, it'll sit there. In other words, it didn't execute the order correctly. And so it still has that aspect of, I'm moving all of my stuff, but if I fail an order roll, I don't get to use part of my army.
Yeah.
At the same time.
See, it's funny how you've gone on this tangent, like of why you got into what you did and why you didn't. It's literally the polar opposite for me. I didn't want to do historical because it's historical. It's something that's happened. It is a determined outcome. If you're playing a World War II game, why would Germany win? You know?
Yeah.
George, the tangent that he went on was exactly where I expected that he would go. It's almost like I know you, sucks.
I know, right? But and so that's why I enjoyed bolt action. Yeah, it was historical, but you put all your dice in a bag, all your opponent's dice in a bag, and you draw a dice, and that's who unit activates. Dystopian Wars is you activate one unit.
Yep.
I have
always liked. So I know that the dice bag mechanic has problems, but I've always liked that the idea of that. I've never played bolt action. I had played Batman that used to have something similar. It wasn't the same, but it was similar. But I always liked the idea of it.
Yeah, like with a drop fleet commander where, you determine with your activation costs of the size of your battle groups.
I love that too.
Over that.
Because George, you could have 2 or 3 things happen in a row, and I'm going to get really annoyed. But eventually, it's all going to come back in my favor, unless all of those turns have ruined half of my things. In which case,
especially if I'm playing you and I have Sheltari and you have your dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, like the whole I wanted something that wasn't real, that was that that Dungeons and Dragons, that whatever version of aliens kind of thing, like
Yeah.
the opposite of that, and which is why I looked at Flames of War and then I was just like, no, I'm not excited about this.
See, from a games perspective, I have had moments where I've looked at Flames of War and I've went, because I've always heard good things about it. And I like what I hear about it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but
I've watched.
If I was
I've watched
going to
it be
play
played.
if I was going to play a World War II game, it would probably be Bolt Action personally.
Yeah.
But even then, if I was to do a historical game, I would find fun by not making it historical. I would have Captain America in the middle of my US Army just to watch everybody roll their eyes.
You almost can with Conflict
know.
47.
True. Or Team Yankee.
Or
World War III, or whatever they want to call it now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, Team Yankee was World War III, or if the Cold War happened.
Yeah.
Which, like, but it was still the same game. It just had like an extra layer of flavor,
a more modernized version of the game aspect.
Yeah. Now, but I do have an extreme caveat.
Yeah.
To that though, I absolutely hate BattleTech. Like, detest, despise
the world or the game.
The game.
Okay. Because I've never played the game. I have always heard good things, but I've never played it. I do know that it's never changed.
Yeah, the ones that I played, they were just, there was too much going on. Like, you spent more time documenting and listening off and going through stuff than you actually play. Like,
see, I've always been a fan of the world, and by say I've always been a fan of, like, I always played the Mech Warrior games. Like, I always liked the Mech Warrior games.
Yeah.
Not the turn-based stuff, like the actual Mech Warrior games. I just always enjoyed them. I did watch the animated show that nobody ever seems to have liked. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I don't think it was great, but I thought it was better than...
Exo Squad was better.
I never saw Exo Squad. I didn't even hear about it till I was an adult. Do you have any particular games that come to mind for you, George? I have an obvious one for me. And I'm quite happy to go first.
That I just wouldn't play?
Yeah, just for whatever reason. Is BattleTech yours? Is that your choice?
I would just have to say, like, and just be, what's the word? Unfairly grouping of this, but just history gaming.
Historical gaming in general.
Yeah. To be fair, that's a common one. For people that enjoy sci-fi and fantasy, historical games doesn't tend to appeal to them as much.
Yeah, So and like, not to be unfair to those games, because I'm sure there's great games out there, obviously, because there exist and people are playing, but it just I can't work up the excitement to play it.
I think the problem with World War II games specifically is, and a friend of mine has had this problem recently because he's currently painting Germans, and he's someone that paints very well and likes to share his stuff on his Instagram.
Oh, crap.
And how do you do that? It's really... Like, he doesn't put any... Like, because there's certain paraphernalia... Like, there's certain icons that are just... No. And there's other ones like the Iron Cross and that, which you all know what it is, but it's not quite as offensive, per se. Yes, I know that the swastika originally meant other things. This is not the conversation for that.
Some jerk
and
named,
like... He was like, how do I
show everyone?
Because every time he shares one of the images, he feels it just does his head in. I don't have an answer for that.
I mean, who was it? AK Industries, where it's a Spanish company. Spain was not involved with World War II at all. They
are still not recovered from the decision that they made with that book. There are still people that won't touch them now. I have a whole series of their paints. Their paints are phenomenal and arguably top 3 in the industry right now. I would have said best in the industry at one point. I don't know if I can necessarily say that anymore. But there are a not small number of people that, because of that book, will not touch them. For those that don't know, they were going to release a book of, like, essentially using photos and images from the Holocaust in the contents of, this is how you make terrain and the inside of buildings. This is not exaggeration. This is what they were going to do. And then they got surprised when everybody got angry about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've never really recovered from that. Despite having amazing products.
Yeah. Now, I will say this about socks. We and I think it's it has got him to say that he does like the look of some of the Age of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah,
I do.
He selected the one that was supposed to paint.
That's true.
Yeah. And actually, I like some of the old world stuff that's coming out. Some of that.
All the old stuff.
Well, and so here's my argument for you there, Socks, right? You've just gone on record saying you like the historical stuff. Warhammer Fantasy, the way it's done, rank and file, is very what?
It's very historical in base, yeah. Because they were all based on historical things originally. Very loosely.
Well,
that's where the inspiration came from.
And that's how Army SWAT is. You got 10 abreast, however many deep, and you went up the field.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For me, it's Warmer Hordes. And I've kind of hinted at this a few times over the years. I know it's not a popular one.
So
aesthetically for me, I've never liked the look of the War Machine models. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that I don't like them, and there is a difference.
No, I can totally see where you're coming from on that. Where that it's a very personal aesthetic choice. Okay,
yeah,
so.
And I've always this is probably one of the few things where it's because there are certain things that you're not allowed to say in this hobby. Like you're not allowed to not like 40k. Like socks. I made the joke. Don't have a go at socks because we don't get a lot of it, but if the wrong people hear him saying he doesn't like it, they will all have a go at him. It's just what will happen.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, and any time I talk about Simon, it probably only happens once every 4 times I rag on them. But I will eventually get hate for it.
Yeah.
And that it just happens. War Machine, you can't really argue with somebody that doesn't like something aesthetically. Because it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it doesn't appeal to me. Like, I know people that Mech Warrior don't appeal to people. Because they look at it and they go, well, yeah, but mechs don't work in real life. Because they don't.
The question I was going to ask you, actually, Bruce, was it the game itself or the group that plays the game? Because, as we've talked about before, that's also a fairly toxic group, too.
I can't speak about the way that it's played now. There was a point in time...
That's also very fair, yeah.
There's a very small point in time where I was going to give that game a chance. Because I had never played it, and I'd always heard good things from people whose opinion generally tends to match well with mine. And I've spoken about this on the podcast before. There was a conversation at the painting table where one of their main players was literally bragging about how he would be enjoying clubbing a baby seal.
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
Somebody that was looking for a demo game, he had shown them the game, and how did he show them? By taking advantage of everything they didn't know and just humiliating and making their day horrible. And he was bragging about it at the table.
Yeah.
And because of that conversation, I have never played War Machine.
Well, so that's why I was wondering if that was the reason of why you wouldn't pick up that game. But, if there's also
I still own the models today that I brought. Because I do own War Machine models. What's the horror faction that they had? The Grimkin. Actually, the box is underneath the bed right here because I pulled them out recently. So, there was an aesthetic at one point that came out that I did enjoy.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it at the time when it came out.
Yeah, rings a bell maybe. So,
but it just aesthetically, I don't like the style of those mechs. I mean, I get why some people do. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. So, Socks then, is it safe to say that a game you'll never touch is still just 40K?
Yeah, for sure, 40K. And to be honest, I have so many. And piles, we all have piles of shame.
That's cute. I have so many.
Well, I've gotten rid of a few of them.
Socks is much better behaved than we are, George. And
because I have a wife that says you can't have more. If you're gonna buy one, you're gonna have to get rid of one. So I sold Legion to get into Dystopian Wars.
Yep.
I was gonna say Socks actually has adult supervision.
Yes, I do. So I mean, is there a chance that I could maybe one day hypothetically get into Old World? Or yeah, possibly, but I doubt it because I like the ones that I have right now.
Oh my god! So now I have to hypothetically, right? You just
you're not buying me a set. Sorry.
No! Stop! No. You just said hypothetically, right? So we're talking Old World. Hypothetically, what faction would you pick for Old World?
It'll be the humans.
No,
it'll be the Empire.
I actually like the look of. No, I actually like the look of the elves from the old fantasy days.
Okay.
So my pick for you is actually Bretonnians.
That's what I just couldn't remember what they were called. But no, he leans towards the elves. Yeah, that makes fair enough. I can see that as well.
That makes even more sense because they're even more hoity-toity about their rank and file and precision and perfection.
Yes.
As someone that loves tempting you, Socks, I am genuinely going to sit here and say don't play Old World, and I'm just going to tell you that flat. And I can guarantee you that if anybody ever decides to buy you a gift, I will choose not to take part in it.
Yeah,
because I am not doing that to you. Of all of the Games Workshop games out there at the moment, that's probably the worst one you could get into right now.
Yeah,
it's the one that's unproven. It definitely has a fan base out there, but those models are so offensively overpriced. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which for you would.
Well, I was even talking. So I was even talking to a guy today because my local store had if there's a 5th Saturday in the month, they'll do a swap meet where you can trade games for store credit or try and sell games in the store, but then you get store credit, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of my buddies. I was like, look, I could probably buy 3 fleets for Dystopian Wars for the same price as one army for Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
So I guess the short of this discussion is I don't like history. Socks doesn't like Games Workshop, and Bruce hates games made in America.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was made in the US.
Privateer Press is one of the few American war games out there.
Okay, sure.
It's all good. We still like you, Bruce.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
Melbourne Figures Warpainting Collective is meeting, it should be today actually, but it's the last Sunday of every month. Happens at the Gaming Arena, which is where I was yesterday. And that's on 123 Barkers Road in Coburg North. Honestly, it's a brilliant location. It's a really, really good store. And I'm genuinely saying that as someone that appreciates. But it's a really good place to be. It's only it opened in October, November, so it's still kind of growing as well. So you definitely have space there and stuff at the moment. ARC is coming up on April 27th and 28th at Sandown Racecourse. If you haven't got your tickets at this point, it's probably approaching too late because you should be in practice mode right now. This is a heavily competitive scene. It's not just 40k this time. We're also talking Infinity and Marvel Crisis Protocol and Horus Heresy and other stuff. We also have the Nunawading War Games Association Saga Tournament, which is happening at the Blackburg RSL on the 19th of May. Yeah, that's everything on the list at the moment. Thank you very much to Valhalla Hobby Valhalla Hobby is the sponsor of our podcast. They are a wonderful store in the US. Wisconsin is where they are. Verona, Wisconsin. Sorry, I was forgetting the name of the town. Generally, the big thing that I like to talk about at this point is their love of the indie games. They do have Warhammer. They do have Age of Sigmar. They do have all of your Games Workshop. They do have all of your D&D. And I'm not downplaying this by any means. But they also have a huge love for the indie side. If you have smaller games that you want to get into or have been tempted by, Bushido, Dystopian Wars, Flames of War, like any of these smaller games, you will be able to access them through Valhalla Hobby. They will most likely have them in stock, and if they don't, they will be able to source it for you. Plus, their prices are amazing. If you use our
or
code,
they'll get it back in stock.
Yes. If you use our code TABLED, you get 5% off any order over 100. Your first order over $100. We get no kickback from that. It's just something so that they can track to see that this has been worth it for them, and we are very, very much appreciative of not just that, but the fact that he's genuinely a part of the community and actually gives advice and so forth. To the point where, when I was talking a couple of episodes about that I was pretty much giving up on the Kroot because I just didn't think I was going to get them, he reached out and was like, I got some tips like to try and make sure that you can get it, which is like something that you don't really expect. Like, there's nothing that he could have done out of that to make money. He was just doing it to be a nice guy. So, big props. Support the people that support us. It would be very much appreciated. George, where can people find us?
They can find us at patreon.com/gettingtabled. $2 a month. You can become a Patreon and support the channel. The website is gettingtabled.com. Most of the stuff you find us posting about, the videos, the podcasts, anything and everything we do, you'll find on facebook.com/gettingtabled. We have the YouTube channel, of course, where you can see the video version of this at youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please like and subscribe so you can be alerted when we load new content. You can email us at gettingtabled@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, want us to talk about something, send us an email. Discord, there's a link in the description. Check out the Discord. There's not many of us, but we talk about all sorts of stuff.
We'd love to see that grow. We really would.
Yeah. And then finally, there is a Twitter, X, Instagram at Getting Tabled. Jason the Bruce does have Twitch TV/Jason the Bruce. Occasionally, you can find him there doing things and stuff. And then finally, Jason has another project called Toy Reel. YouTube.com/Toy Reel. Go check that out. Give it a subscribe,
please. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.
Paint your pile of shame.
Also, thank you to George.